everyone. Welcome to the Wonder Series, your weekly opportunity to wonder what life would be like if you looked at it from another perspective, if you changed your mindset and opened yourself up to the possibilities. Who would you be? What would you create? What could life look like? And ultimately, how could this help you live that healthy, happy lifestyle that you were meant to live? Hello, everyone. I'm Denise Stiegel. I'm the CEO and curator at livinghealthylist.com and your host of the Wonder Series. So during the month of November, we've been talking a lot about thankfulness and gratitude because this is the month that we really have it in the forefront of our minds. I mean, let's be real. We even set aside an entire day to be thankful. Well, today we're going to touch on gratefulness in a little bit of a different way. We're going to be talking a little bit about gratefulness or that thankfulness through the rough patches in your life, because so many of us do struggle with rough patches, whether it's once in a blue moon or on a regular basis. These are things that we can move forward with a little bit of grace and a little bit of gratitude. So my guest today is the lovely Kristin Zako. Kristin is a transformational health coach and certified personal trainer who shows women that feeling stuck in depression and anxiety from trauma and loss and how to unlock their limitless potential for optimal health, vitality, and aliveness with her Stackable Unstuckable Strategy. Kristin empowers her clients to create a habit healing lifestyle. I almost said healthy, happy lifestyle because that's Living Healthy List. So obviously there's a reason why Kristin is here, because she helps people to create a habit healing lifestyle. And she uses simple strategies that she's developed on her own personal journey, living through with type 1 diabetes and Graves' disease. She gives hope that there is healing after hurt and not defined by her diagnosis. She believes that every single one of us is unstuckable. Kristin, hey, how are you today?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor, and we are going to have so much fun.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. After our very first conversation, I thought, wow, this is going to be great. Kristin's awesome. She's so much fun. And that's actually one of the pillars that we talk about at Living Healthy List is, health, wellness, personal development, and bringing some more fun into life. And I think that's really where a lot of people get stuck, don't you?
100%. I think everybody's so worried about what society thinks you should do and what you were the way you were brought up. And if you do something different, then, you shouldn't do that. And then you take things so seriously. And my MO, like my two things I swear by, simple and fun.
I love it. So I'm sure life for you has not always been simple and fun, considering you have type 1 diabetes. You also have Graves' disease. Now, how old were you? When did those two things come into your life?
Well, I was 24 years old, and it was September 27th of 2003, the day of my first wedding. And that is when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I never made it to the reception. I got through the ceremony barely, had to leave halfway through and run outside and go be sick because I was so sick. But it was interesting because my body gave me some signs, but I always dismissed it because it wasn't consistent. So the symptoms that I had excessive thirst, but it would happen very, very random here and there. I was exhausted. I was planning a wedding and I was working full time. I was losing weight. Well, I was trying to lose weight because I wanted to look good in my dress, right? Cool. And then one night, it was like a couple weeks before the wedding, I had blurred vision. And I was like, what is this all about? Not even a couple of weeks. It was close to. And then it went away. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm just so tired, and then the excessive thirst was, well, maybe I ate something salty. We chalk everything up like it's not a big deal, but I did have symptoms, but I knew nothing about diabetes. So I didn't know those were little red flags that were like, hey, you need to get to the doctor. But had it not been the day of my wedding, I wouldn't be here today because I could sleep and I would have slept myself to death.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I can't even imagine, like, because some of the things that you just mentioned, about, being tired and being thirsty, you're right. Why would you have thought that those were symptoms? Because you were doing so many other things. And the fact that at 24, type 1 diabetes wasn't even in your realm of, probably not understanding, but it wasn't even in your world.
No, it wasn't. And nobody in my family was diabetic. Like it was a very foreign illness to me.
Sure.
So when it happened, it was like, what? It was life changing. And I went through it. It's a very challenging disease in the beginning because so many, it's the only disease that I know of, I could be wrong, but it's the only disease I know that the patient is the one that prescribes the amount of medicine to give yourself. The doctor gives you a sliding scale, but you're literally injecting yourself with a medication that you could drop dead. Like if you overdo or if you make a mistake, your life is in your hands. And that was a lot of pressure and a lot of information coming at a 24-year-old, just married, never made it to the reception, had to cancel the honeymoon. Like it was a very, and the one thing that now I'm obviously completely on the other side of, but I had such a phobia of needles. And here, oh yeah, it was bad. Like since I was a kid, it was really, really bad. And I had such a phobia. And so I would cry and I would shake just even holding the syringe. We didn't have all the fancy stuff we have now.
Right.
Now it's all fancy stuff. But back then it was the good old syringe and vial that you draw the insulin out of and you plunge it into your body. But that was a huge adjustment. It took some time for me to get through that. Imagine you have a phobia of, I don't know, let's say spiders, and somebody tells you gotta let spiders crawl over your body. You're like,
well, yeah, no, that's, I definitely, I can certainly feel for you because there are certain phobias that I know I have, and, have done my best to live with them and manage them. But I have to admit, I don't go out and seek them where you didn't really have much choice.
No, it was, my life depended on just pushing through. And even just, they had me practice on an orange. And I even struggled just practicing on an orange. It's like brushing my teeth now. Like I'm way out on that. But I remember in the beginning, and it was very, very challenging.
So how did you get through this? 24 years old, you're a few years older than that now, not much, but so how do you transition and go from this 24-year-old kind of carefree woman to now this person who has a chronic illness that you have to manage, every day, every minute of your life, not just, here and there. Oh yeah, I forgot to take my medication. That doesn't work.
Oh yeah.
How do you transition from that carefree person to this now more, I would say more educated, but more, what's the word I'm looking for?
No, that's a decent word. That's just it. More educated on the disease I knew nothing about. Mm-hmm. Well, diabetes, you don't get a break from. It's with you 24/7. And going from a wild child, wild and free, to having the fear of God put in me, with all the information, all the what ifs, the should haves, the could haves, be careful you don't want to get an infection, no more pedicures, be careful. I was an athlete my entire life. So be careful if you slide in the dirt and you cut up your knee, make sure you clean that out right away. And because you don't want infections to set in, because that could lead to amputation. And I'm just like, what is happening right now? They tell you, and I get it, it's the medical field. They tell you worst case scenario. And I think that's their job. Like they have to tell you what could potentially go wrong if you don't take care of yourself. So I went through I'd say the first 2 years were the hardest because my body was failing. I was in full-blown ketoacidosis. And I woke up, I passed out in the hospital and woke up in ICU. So I saw my wedding dress hanging in the doorway. Imagine. But it was my body didn't feel like my body for a long time. And I think it was because I was shutting down, I was dying. So think of all the, healing cells that have to rejuvenate into your body, but then take the whole emotional piece to it. and frustration and rebelling, and then depression and anxiety and fear and all the things I didn't even really know a whole lot about at 24 years old. And then it just came down to the question, like, are you going to take care of yourself? Like, your life is your choice. Like, your life is your choice. You can come at this from a different angle, and as the years passed and I got more educated, like you had mentioned, and I realized, like, okay, I can do this. Like, and then, and I started to get my hands around it. And then Graves' disease decided to hang out and show up in my life, which is kind of like a double-edged sword. So you have 2 autoimmune diseases, and the symptoms for that were extreme fatigue, heart palpitations, anxiety, like hot flashes. I mean, it was, I guess it was like menopause, I guess. I don't know. I haven't gone through menopause yet, but they say,
sounds about right.
yeah. And my mood swings were terrible. And I remember being at the doctor, and she's like, you need to make an appointment and get a blood panel. And I did. And they were like, you need to get to the ER ASAP. You are overproducing 200% more hormones than you are supposed to be. Like, you could have a heart attack right now. And I'm just like,
oh, wow.
Well, that's not going to work for me. And they wanted me to get radiation right away and kill my thyroid. And I was like, whoa, pump the brakes here. So I ended up going to a naturopath who's also an MD, just to get a different blood work, just to see if I did have any options before I just go putting radiation in my body.
Absolutely. You just made a good point that, your life is your choice. And I think it's really important as you go to the medical, you're in the medical world, and then all of a sudden, to say, okay, what else is there? I think having that choice is essential.
Yeah. And she actually got back to me that evening, and she's like, you need to go. She's like, it's done. Like, so that was a whole nother thing, because I was never somebody that took a lot of medicine. Now I'm on 2 different insulins, and now I'm going to have to be on Synthroid for the rest of my life. And that my life depends on these 2 medications to stay alive every day. And, that was another transition. And I have to tell you guys, just to give you hope, like if you're in some form, like, give yourself time, give yourself like a 6-month grace period of getting used to things, because I wasn't allowed to go up a flight of stairs, like, to get my heart rate up. I wasn't allowed to have sex. I wasn't allowed to do anything to get my heart rate up for a while, because I could have had a heart attack. So I told my doctor, you got 6 months. And I had this big trip planned for my husband and I for his 40th. Hiking, kayaking, biking, all the things that we do. Mm-hmm. And my husband now, my second husband. And we got there, and I hiked 15.2 miles in one day. And wow. All I did was take my time and change the perspective in my head. My doctor didn't say no, I couldn't, but he also didn't say yes, you can. He said, listen to your body. And what a deep, profound connection to have internally. Like, how strong are you? Like, are you getting in your head, or are you listening to your body? Like, this is something you really want. Are you in your head, or are you in your body? And that is a huge thing that I coach on, because so many of us get wrapped in our head and tell ourselves a story, and we stay stuck in the fear, rather than, no, really, like, how am I really, like, analyze how your body is feeling, not the crazy story.
Oh, absolutely. I could just hear myself in a situation like, I want to do this, I'm going to go do it. Do I feel, I wouldn't even initially consider how I was feeling, because if it's something that I wanted to do, that we were going to do my husband and I, we were going to do, it would be in my mind that, yes, we're going to do this. Why wouldn't I do this? This is something I've always done. But you're right. It's very different experience, what you're thinking and what you're feeling. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Kind of pulling into our conversation, this concept of thankfulness and gratitude. I mean, first and foremost, I'm very grateful that you did find out what was going on with your life, because you're here with us today. And that is, back then, that wasn't you didn't know if you were going to be able to get to this level. So I'm really grateful that you figured out how to manage your diabetes and the Graves' disease the best way for you.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that, because that's just it. It's what feels right in my body, not what works for everybody else. It's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. And I think it's really important for people to realize that there's a lot of, most things in life are not one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we do try to get kind of like pigeonholed into, this is the way we're supposed to do things. This is the way we've been told that we should do things. And I think it really does make sense for us to kind of step back and say, okay, what does this mean to me? And how do we manage, whether it's, how you exercise, how you eat, what, lifestyle, healthy lifestyle choices you make, or just choices you make.
Absolutely. And, and just to even piggyback off of the diabetes and the thyroid disease, having lost my nephew, who was like a son to me, that put me in a whole nother form of depression and anxiety I didn't even know I was capable of. And coming on the other side of that on a healthier path, and now being able to show up for me first, then I get to better serve all the people that I get to support and the people that I love. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing that we all, I think especially as women, we have a tendency to do, like, let's do for everybody, right? And we don't take that time to serve ourselves first. And that has been the game changer in my life. Like radical self-love, stepping into showing up for me first in the morning. That way I don't have to try to make time for it in the rest of the day. But
I understand that.
Your health is everything, and nobody's going to take care of it but you.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that you said that, because I have this phrase at Living Healthyless. It's called, I say it all the time, and I said this at the end: healthy living, happy life. Because you can't have one without the other. People think it should be the opposite way. Well, if you're happy, you have everything, and then you're healthy. But that's not the case. If you don't have your health, you can't have that happiness that we're all searching for in life.
100%. And if you're not reflecting from within your own happiness, and everything that you have is within you, how are you going to give it out at your highest vibration?
So now that, now that you are managing type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes with the thyroid issue, and I know thyroid is one of those things for women that it's definitely something that more women struggle with at different levels. So it's really important to kind of just put that out there also. But so now you're managing both of these. You've gone through this horrible, horrible depression with the loss of your nephew, and you're in a place where you're helping others who are where you were back then. How do you help those people?
Well, first, let me just share, before I tell you how I help them, is the story that I was told was, you're not going to lose weight. It can be very challenging. You're not going to sleep well. You're never going to feel rested. You're always going to be exhausted, and you're not going to have any energy. So that's why when I help people, it's about vitality and aliveness and energy. It's because I had that story in my head that I was stuck in, of I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm a completely different human now because of these two diagnoses.
Wow.
And then I got to the point, a lot like you, well, if I want to do something, I'm doing it. And so I made up my mind. I dared myself to do me and decide, like, this is a decision I am making. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get myself in the best physical shape possible, and to live the energy and the vibrancy and the vitality that I want to feel and that I want to live, and go on the adventures that I go. And so how I teach people is the Stackable Unstuckable Strategy. And what that is each week in a 30-day challenge, we go through the 4 pillars, which is mindfulness. That's all we focus on the entire week. Meditation, being mindful of the conversation you're having with yourself first thing in the morning. Are you doing a practice of gratitude? Then we go into motion. Your issues are in your tissues. If you aren't moving, you are stuck, right? And then the third pillar is nourishment. You are what you eat. What are you putting into your body? Are you telling yourself healthy things or healing words? Are you eating nourishing foods, or are you going through the drive-thru and ordering pizza? And the fourth pillar is nature. I wholeheartedly, 100% know with pure certainty that motion in nature has been my ultimate healer. And I started with 10 minutes every day, rain, snow, or shine, no excuses. And I live in Cleveland, Ohio, and the weather is crazy here.
Especially in the winter with the snow.
And you guys, I'm telling you, 10 minutes you can wrap your head around. If you don't have 10 minutes for yourself, I call BS. I call BS on you. I do. You have 10 minutes for yourself to put your kicks on, put your coat on, bundle up now. It's getting cooler outside, and just commit to 10 minutes outside in nature. That is the piece that I start with for everybody. And it's game changer. I was the girl, the snooze button queen, bed to the couch, or couch from the bed to the couch, right? And waiting the last minute to get ready, and just the weight of the elephant on my chest and my body. And it was just days that were so unbearable. And I just know that this works, because when you try to do it all at once, it's not sustainable. It's too much. So doing the Stackable Strategy, learning the one piece. Maybe you've never meditated before in your life. This teaches you breath. It teaches you to get grounded. It teaches you to get present, getting your body into motion. Maybe you've been going from the bed to the couch for the last 5 years, and now you're going to start to get your body in motion. And then getting yourself out, nourishing your body, and then getting yourself out into nature. Like one at a time, you guys. Small hinges move big doors. And when we try to bite off more than we can chew, we're setting ourselves up for failure. So the Stackable Unstuckable Strategy is where it's at.
Well, and honestly, I mean, this is something that I think everybody needs to pay attention to, whether you're going through something or not. Let's be real.
Yeah.
We don't get off of this earth unscathed. We've all been through something, and we can always up level and get better. So I love the fact that it is actually quite simple. 4 steps. I think most of us can get that around our minds. And they do. I see where the stackable, how one builds on the next. And I do want to mention to everybody that when Kristin and I first chatted, we actually had an entire conversation while she was outside. So when she's out when she talks about nature, she really is, she's the embodiment of, she embodies nature. And I think that's really important, because, sometimes, yeah, sure. A lot of us say, oh, you should get outside, spend more time outside. Well, that's great to say it, but I know for sure that you actually are doing it. And that to me is more encouragement than just saying you should go out and be outside. And the fact that you are in Ohio and I'm in Minnesota, so, we actually, I think you get more snow than we do. But we know the winters are not pleasant, but that doesn't mean you can't still get out for just a few minutes. Like you said, even if it's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think that's really an important piece, is that you really are, you experience this and you embody what you teach.
Yeah. And a lot of the women that I coach, and it was me once upon a time, which is why I know I've drawn them to me, but it was like, oh, winter, gray, it's cold. Like, I don't want to be outside, or, it's too cold for this, or it's too cold for that. And having done, it's been 2 years, like two plus years since I committed to that. And it's changed my whole perception of winter and gray skies. I don't see gray skies anymore. Like, it's gray, yeah, but it's like, well, Mother Nature's entitled to have a gray day. Like, it's just a different story. That's all it is. And when you move your body in it and you're connecting in it, it's game changer. I mean, I went from being a hater of Cleveland weather to I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. And I love it. And my office is outside. Like, I'm actually not at home right now. I'm at a client's house. So that's the only reason I'm inside. But and I'll tell people, because they'll say, oh, it's too cold. Well, it's like, put a coat on, grab a hat, gloves, scarves, whatever it takes. You can do 10 minutes. And I'm telling you, the cold air, the fresh breath, the space you feel, I mean, what it's done for my energy and what it's done for my overall healing, I don't even really know how to express into words other than just show you.
Mm-hmm. There's and I can't think of the person's name, but he talks about standing outside in the cold for, a minute. Yes, because either it's taking the cold shower, which I've tried. I can do it in the summer. But what I have noticed in the winter, it was, like I said, it was cold yesterday. I was outside. It was 32 degrees outside, which, oh, by the way, guys, is freezing. So I was outside doing a little bit of work. And I have to say, yes, it was cold. Wasn't too cold because it was only 32 degrees. It can be minus 32 here in Minnesota. But what I felt afterwards was I actually felt invigorated. I actually did have more energy. And so when I honestly in the past would say, yeah, no, I'm not going out there. It's too cold. Mm-hmm. As I've gotten older, I've realized that there really is more and more to our health and well-being than that's kind of out on the table or, on the internet. We see things in bits and pieces and we kind of hear what we want to hear. Mm-hmm. But I think as we get older and we experience more, the more these things kind of fall into place and create that healthy lifestyle that we're all looking for. Sometimes we need a little bit of guidance, and that's what you're here for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what I love about, just teaching people the Stackable Unstuckable strategy, I do it with you. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it with you. So it's not like I'm telling you what to do. We're in this together.
So who is your ideal client? Like who are you looking to help? I mean, we have an audience here at Living Healthy List, and we share this on YouTube. And so, our goal is to reach, thousands and thousands of women.
So ultimately, the people that I'm serving now are the women who are wanting to take their health back, whether it's because of chronic whatever. And going from waking up in the morning and feeling the elephant on their chest, going from the bed to the couch, unmotivated, feeling stuck, wanting to make change, but they just don't know how to get started, and just feeling so unmotivated. And so for the woman who is stuck in the story of depression and anxiety, defined by their diagnosis, or, wanting to take their health to the next level, wanting to feel that energy, the vitality, the aliveness. We put so much of I need to lose weight. Sure, that will come, but you need to get in the game first. Yeah. You need to get in the game first, because you're going to lose the weight. You're going to be so hyper focused on the number on the scale, and you're not going to know how you're feeling. You're not going to be connecting into nature. You're not going to be connecting into your body and how you're feeling. And that's the difference. I'm not a weight loss coach. Mm-hmm. I am a transformational health coach. And when you transform your health, the weight will fall off of you. Mm-hmm. You will be sleeping better. I have a woman who's not taking her anxiety meds anymore. I have a woman who's off her blood pressure medicine. I have a woman who's lowered her diabetes medication. Like, it's all about just, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. You have nothing.
Hallelujah.
It's the story. What's the story? And are you sticking to it? Or are you ready to make some changes?
Mm-hmm. I love it. And I think it's really important to say too is, for a lot of women who are, kind of okay with where they are, mm-hmm. there's always room for improvement. Mm-hmm. And I think once you open, and that's why I say, open yourself up to the possibilities. If you look at your life from a different perspective, all of a sudden you kind of go, you know what? I want that vitality that Kristin was talking about. I want that vibrance. That's what I want. Life might be good, but it can be better.
100%. And I always say, if someone is just like, yeah, I'm okay with where I'm at, I challenge you to get very honest with yourself about that statement.
I think that's important. It's something that, I challenge myself on a pretty regular basis. Obviously, my background is health and wellness and food and nutrition. But even I go through periods where, those ups and downs. And, the last year was kind of rough. I had some hormonal things going on and, being home all the time did not make that any easier. So I had to reevaluate where I was and what I wanted to do. Do I look okay? Sure, I look fine. I look fine. Did I want to look better than fine? Well, yeah. So if that's the case, for me and for anyone who's looking in the mirror going, all right, what do I really want?
Yeah.
There's always that next step.
Yeah. And I would even take it a step further and ask yourself, if you're looking in the mirror and you're asking these questions, how much do I love myself? What's my relationship like with me? Because you may have some blinders on, or you may, be happy with how you're helping healing everybody else. But are you happy and healing within you?
That's a very good point. That is a very good point. Now, I know I want to share with everybody, how people can get in touch with you. And I know you have this amazing new podcast. So let's talk about the podcast real quick.
Oh my God. So in honor of Diabetes Awareness Month, which is November, which is also my birthday month, which is also Thanksgiving, which I love.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It was the 15th. And so I launched my first podcast episode in honor of Diabetes Awareness Month and discussed basically episode 1 is the opening to the saga of the wedding day. And so it's called the Unstuckable You, and it's on Spotify for right now. And it will be going through Apple Podcast and I think Google Podcast, and but it's not there yet. It's my brand new baby, but stay tuned. I'll also be playing it on my YouTube channel, and
perfect.
Yeah, and that's Kristin Zako, and then KristinZako.com is my website, and Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is Kristin Zako. Keep it simple, right? And then yeah, my business Facebook group is All in Life LLC, because my personal page is Kristin Zako. So, but that's where I'm at, you guys. And I have to tell you, I'm just turned 43 years old, and I feel better than I did when I was in my 20s.
That's awesome. You look great.
Thank you.
You do. One last thing before I let you go. I said you had you were going to be doing another 4-week session.
Oh yeah. So
quickly tell us about that, and again, the right place to go to find more information.
Yeah. So you'll go to KristinZako.com for that, and it's called Habit Healing 30-Day Challenge, and it's my last live Habit Healing where I will be doing the group, the weekly tribe time. So every Monday we meet at 6 p.m. for our group tribe on Zoom. And I coach you for each pillar. Like Monday, we coach you on that pillar. And then throughout the whole week, you're supported on that pillar. And then you get a one-on-one session with me. And my gosh, you guys are the first to hear about this. And this starts next Monday.
Okay, that's really important, everybody. We need to know that. Get over to KristinZako.com and check out the next Habit Healing 30-Day Challenge.
Yeah, that starts on the 22nd.
22nd. November 22nd. Okay, so everybody put that in your calendar. Go over to KristinZako.com and sign up for the Habit Healing 30-Day. This is a perfect time to do this. With the holidays coming, but also with winter coming in this new season, we can either stay stuck or we can move forward.
100%. And I love so much that it's coming through. You'll have support through the holidays, because I am not about restriction or deprivation. Like, I'm not somebody who's going to tell you don't eat stuffing and mashed potatoes. I'm not. But I'm going to tell you, when you do come from the perspective of, I'm not going to shame, guilt, or put any negative spin on it. If I'm going to choose to eat this, I'm going to enjoy every single bite that I take. And that's a perspective shift. That's the transition. That's the transformation. And when you start to have that conversation more and more, and then feel supported and accountability throughout the next, or the 4 weeks, the 30 days, it's game changer.
Well, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for changing it up. We want game changers for the end of this year, going into 2022. Can it actually be right? 2022. Kristin, thank you so much for being with us and for sharing with us today. To our audience, thank you for being here, whether you're here watching us live or watching the replay. We are here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Wonder Series. And until next week, I will leave you with this: healthy living, happy life. Go check us out on YouTube. If you haven't already, sign up, and every time we have a new video on there, you'll get a notification. We will see you then. Have a great week, everyone.